Go ahead.
So I think you have 5 now, Joe. Did you find
We're ready to go. Stephanie, call to order.
This is the right one. Might have. This is the.
Susan Fowler,
This is the study session.
Matt Hausman,
Here.
What do you think about that?
Daphne Maurer,
Here.
Elaine Felicia, Kyle Patterson,
Here.
Julian Rappaport,
There could be a feedback issue, but I think.
Jane Sprandel,
Here.
John Paul Joachim, Joe Omosage.
Yes.
We have 5, so we have a quorum.
Okay.
You make it loud.
So, would you approve the agenda?
Yes.
Oh, then they.
No, it was really amazing. You get the medal.
All right, I'll, yeah.
So making a motion to approve the agenda?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
go
I'll second the
ahead,
motion.
Oh, thank you.
We have another board member just joined. I'm so sorry for not letting them in faster.
No problem.
Matt Hausman,
Yes.
Daphne Maurer,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Julian Rappaport. Julian,
Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Jane Sprandel,
Yes.
Joe Omosage.
Yes. So let's go. Any citizen input? Do we have anybody out there? Or in here?
There were some people here, but they left to join the meeting on Zoom.
Okay.
So, and I'm sure they can participate later during agency input. But there's no one else here and the doors are open for the public, so nobody's here.
So we'll wait a few more. See if anybody shows.
Okay. Joe, do you want me to show the agenda?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. So,
Good job, Sid.
yeah.
So it sounds like there's no one for citizen input right now. So I'll go ahead and put in my comments. The Secretary of Education yesterday talked about there's a mental health crisis with our kids, and the pandemic has not been good thing for a lot of us. And as a community, we're seeing the repercussions of how mental health has become much more of a bigger issue. So hopefully, as a board, we are going to continue to get things within our community and hopefully settle things down. But it's difficult all around, not just in Champaign County, but everywhere. There's a mental health crisis, anxiety and depression high in kids and their parents also. Nobody's doing as well as we think we should. But that's my statement for today. Hopefully we have some answers. Okay.
Well, I think Good. One thing I learned this morning in the DD board meeting is that if my comments take up a lot of time, that cuts into the time you have later for discussion. So I will say, I hope this agenda is a good one for y'all. We're pretty excited about the presentations, and then there is a lot to discuss after the presentations. So that's all I have. And I'm going to go lock the doors.
Okay, so let's go now to new business. Summer Youth Initiative, Tracy Parsons. So Tracy, you ready?
All right. Charles is in here. So thanks, everyone. I'm kind of new to the technology and sharing of screens. So we're going to hopefully figure this out and get this done. All right. So can you all hear me okay and everything? Am I muted?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. So Charles is going to start us off, but I'm Tracy Parsons. I'm the Community Relations Manager with the City of Champaign. I'm also the facilitator of our Champaign County Community Coalition. For a number of years, the Mental Health Board has partnered with the Community Coalition and Don Moore Boys and Girls Club to what we call our summer initiatives to engage youth throughout the community. So I'm gonna start it off with the CEO of Don Moore Boys and Girls Club, Charles Burton, will start us off, and then I'll join you back here shortly.
Thank you, Tracy. Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Just wanted to be thankful of the support and the continued collaboration throughout the years in working with the Community Coalition Summer Initiatives and Don Moore Boys and Girls Club to provide, much needed services to engage youth throughout the community. Initially, there was a $90,000 grant that was awarded to Don Moore Boys and Girls Club to administer and manage, the subcontracts and support the work of the Champaign County Community Coalition, the summer initiatives. And then we received an additional $17,000 as awarded as an increase in funding for the summer initiatives. Just taking everyone through the process, each subcontractor submits proposals on their programs and activities for funding, and the executive committee of the Community Coalition approves the plan for funding for the summer initiatives. To look at the subcontracting process, to give you an overview, we at Don Moore Boys and Girls Club, we convene the subcontracting meetings, we issue the contracts and set the requirements. We monitor the budget and spending, and we make sure that everything complies with the Mental Health Board, contract requirements. Then we also collect all the program data from the subcontractors and provide the report. We're excited, to report today, just because it's been a troubling year or so, and to be back in person for this summer and doing a lot of great things in our community is something exciting. We're excited to share and highlight that with you as I pass it back to Tracy.
Thanks, Charles. So I'm going to quickly kind of go through just some numbers and share with you, I think, some of the highlights from the summer. So just to give the board an example, in 2019, we had 675 youth participate in our activities over the summer. Last year in 20, we went down to 550. And then again, this year we have 692 participants in our summer initiatives. Just some of the highlights. I won't go through each one of these in detail. Damore does submit a detailed report to you about the summer activities with information on each one of the subcontracts with our partners. But we continued to do some male and female specific programming. We believe that's really important to do intentional work with our youth, gender specific work. We had a really exciting activity and program in Rantoul this summer. Obviously, we all know that community violence is a crisis in our community. So we had a number of anti-violence, violence reduction activities this summer. As you know, we were, I think, as the chair, Joe shared with you, opening back up this summer for engagement activities, person to person, public. Just about everything was still outdoors, but we were able to do personal engagement. We partnered a lot with the Hip Hop Express. This is a mobile technology, IT, and STEM program and vehicle owned and ran by Dr. William Patterson from the University of Illinois. And, you know, we were able to balance fun, work, academic work, and leadership. So COVID's impact is still significant on our community and the agencies and the individuals doing programming and working directly with our youth. So we had a mixture this summer of hybrid and in-person and virtual activities. We focus during the summer initiatives on arts and culture, recreation, academic enrichment and leadership, and community engagement. So I just wanted to share with you again some of the highlights. This summer we had a significant focus on community engagement and activities again as we were beginning to go and be more able to do more in-person activities. So the slides you see here are a number of the events we were able to organize and implement. So we, as you see on the top right, we were able to have community volunteers to go out to canvass in neighborhoods to share information, education, resources. The other slides are just pictures of some of the engagement events. So what's significant about these slides is that we've started understanding the importance of neighborhood-based supports, information sharing, and the distribution of resources. And so we've intentionally gone out to what we title as the hotspots or the neighborhoods where we've had a significant number of the gun violence incidents. So this includes public housing complexes, hotspots where shooting activities have taken place. Also, these community engagement activities are volunteer recruitment activities, as well as, again, canvassing neighborhoods to hear from those directly and most impacted by gun violence and some of the other community activities. As you all know, and I think Joe, again, talked about mental health and trauma. We all are traumatized, but often in lower income neighborhoods and impact in the neighborhoods in areas most impacted by gun violence, that is additional trauma and mental health supports and services and information is needed there. Obviously, we still are directly impacted by COVID. And so we wanted to do some significant, again, community engagement activities. So we've had a number of different activities and campaigns this summer. So the top slide is just an example. So a number of community partners and organizations come together. We go into those hotspot neighborhoods. We partnered with park districts, community-based organizations, law enforcement, school districts. And again, we come out, agencies set up resource tables, we have fun and games, some food at times. These were all outdoor activities. We actually wanted to change the narrative a little bit, so we came up with a campaign that we called Loving You. And we had a song, they produced a song through the Hip Hop Express that really, I wish I had it to share with you, but it really just talks about spreading peace and love amongst our communities, and again, changing the narratives. We put together a billboard campaign that's pretty controversial, but it did exactly what we wanted. It created dialogue, discussion. We went through a number of groups and meetings to come up with these messages: no more tears, no more lost lives, put the guns down, no more lost lives, put the guns down. This individual young man here featured is a young man that has changed his life around, was a former group clique participant, and is now helping lead that change narrative for us. We all know the difficult year that our kids and our students went through with virtual learning and the challenges that that brought for our education systems, as well as just kids being connected to the necessary support. So we had a number of academic, leadership, financial education. We tried to do it a number of different ways to support the loss of the academic years and helping getting our students prepared to come back into the classroom this fall. The young man featured over here, I'm just so excited and proud of him, first of all, but the work we were able to do in the employment area. So this young man is one of our go-getters, one of our students who was struggling in school, making some bad decisions, running around with the wrong crowd, but obviously a smart and brilliant young man. And so we were able to put together with the Beckman Institute a job opportunity for this young man, who worked in a couple of the different entrepreneurial offices in Beckman. As you can see, he's into the sciences, STEM, STEAM, and we're going to be featuring him more in the community to, again, show the examples of young people that just need support and guidance to make the right decisions and change, the necessary change that's required for them. Again, we were able to partner and do a number of academic enrichment ideas, looking at the area of STEM. You see the Hip Hop Express down in the bottom, where we had a number of students coming to do STEM-based ideas. We worked with drones. They built these race cars, or the cars with the remote cars, I should say. And these are just some examples and some of the pictures of the activities we're able to do outdoors in partnership with the Hip Hop Express, in neighborhoods, in our parks. Again, arts and crafts and culture is a great way to engage young people, get them in some constructive activities. So here's some art projects. This is called the Peace Project. And so this is Champaign and Urbana students working on what they're called peace poles. So these are in our parks, both in Champaign and Urbana. They are movable or transferable, just signs of peace coming together. The kids have put these together and done the artwork, and it was really just a very exciting project. So I hope our parks are going to be promoting this more and sharing the work that our students have done. And then finally, just again, the work experience that we were able to give students, pay them for their work experience, their community engagement. So these students right here are up in Rantoul. So we worked with the city of Rantoul to identify some projects that the students could do, cleanup projects, painting, cleaning, youth coming together. And so here's a demonstration of our young people that went around Rantoul, very engaged, doing constructive activities this summer. So that's
Can I interrupt?
I think I hear a question there. Yeah.
Sorry. So Jane, I actually am pretty connected with some folks in Rantoul, and I know for a fact there were lots of parents asking if they could get their kids involved with the Rantoul project. I mean, it was overwhelming how many people and even youth who wanted to get involved. And so, I mean, I'm now in Homer and stuff, but I was telling people, try this small business owner, try this. I mean, I know, and I'll throw it out there, Shields, Automart. I mean, they're always offering for youth to come out, pick up trash, things like that. And they treat those kids wonderfully. And so I just love that program. And I just want to say thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. It was great. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that. And, again, trying to be creative. What I love and I always share with the Mental Health Board, and I know there's a number of new faces on here, is these funds are unique and allow us to be a little different. So what I mean by that is we can contract with one individual person, or we can work with non-traditional organizations that, I love the Boys and Girls Club, but again, there's a lot of smaller startup people that have just the interest to be involved and support. And that's really how the Rantoul project started. And so again, thank you to the board for the flexibility, the creativity it allows us to do in building new partnerships, bringing people to the table that are not part of our normal traditional service providers, but they have an interest, they have a skill, they're working through a church, they're working just off of an idea that they have. So again, this is just unbelievable funding for our community, the youth that are involved. And then, so just thanks again, Mental Health Board. Lynn, I don't know if we should try to do our video to see if we can, because this again, Charles and I can come and tell you how great we're doing and how great things are, but I'm gonna try to show a news clip.
Hey, Tracy, I think given our experience with the run through, we should let Jane Sprandel give the warning. Don't you think?
Okay.
So earlier we were kind of testing the tech. And so I think if everyone's just very quiet and doesn't interrupt like I just did a few minutes ago, I think you'll be able to hear the clip, but there are some spots where just based on how WCI did the interview, it's kind of hard to hear it. But I think if we're all very quiet, we'll all be able to hear it just fine.
And that's if I can pull it up effectively, appropriately.
And I'm going to post in the chat, I'll put the link to this clip in case you don't get to hear it very well. You can check it out later.
Can I ask a question?
All right, I apologize here. Let me see. That is not what I want here.
Want me to try it?
I'm trying, Lynn.
Okay.
It's coming up, I think. Now my computer's acting slow.
So what fun technology is.
Yes. Am I visual here?
Media, because it's not always a negative thing that's going on with young black men. Write the narrative on the media, because it's not always a negative thing that's going on with young black men. If we start pulling out more stories about the good things that's going on with, because we got successes.
That was a call to action from the Champaign School District Sheldon Turner. It happened at our first Victory Over Violence town hall last week.
We are answering his call, bringing in more stories that he wants us to cover. WCI3 Sarah Lehman met with a young man working to help other young people. So Sarah, what is his goal?
He wants kids to realize their full potential and not let barriers get in the way, just like he didn't let barriers stop him. Ontario Sims graduated high school in 2019. Just 1 year later, he was buying his own home and starting his own business called Soil Culture. It's about more than just landscaping.
I wanted to build a business for myself, but also build a business that could help others.
Specifically, younger generations.
The neighborhood that I was growing up in, you know, as I got older, a lot of the kids started like going to jail and, you know, being victims of gun violence and stuff like that. And I got younger brothers, so I kind of looked at, you know, like not just my brothers, but like their whole little generation, you know what I mean? And I seen kind of how the kids my age were doing. And I was like, man, I got to start something to where these kids don't follow the same path, and then we just got to keep creating cycle and cycle.
That's why he's out in the community helping and being a positive influence.
I had a lot of circumstances built up against me too, you know what I mean? But I seen that I can accomplish whatever I want if I just change my mental and change my mindset about things.
Eventually, he wants his business to be a place where young people can get their hands dirty, but also exercise their minds and learn things they might not be taught in school or learn at home.
I just want it to be a place where people can come when they want to really tap into their full potential and defy the norms that everybody set up for them.
In July, Sims' business officially became an LLC. He hopes to continue to grow it and eventually help young people in need. Jessica, back to you.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much.
Did it work? It did? Oh, cool. So I just real quickly, Ontario Sims, he's one of our really champions. He's a young man that we connected with his sophomore, junior year in school. He was really struggling at home. And, you know, we were able to get him graduated from Centennial High School. We actually got him mayor of Champaign, Mayor Finan, raised scholarship funds to support him and a couple of other guys to go to school out at Parkland. And school didn't work. I mean, they made it one semester, but they're all gainfully employed, trying to do the right thing. And then Ontario has started his own business and gone to a whole nother level. And so I've been sharing the video all day today throughout the community, because this shows when we don't give up on kids and keep looking for new ways to engage with them and support them, helping them navigate really, really tough situations, this is what we can do. And so we often focus on those that don't succeed and don't make it through, but I just thank you, Lynn, for allowing me a few extra moments to share this video, because it's the work that we're able to do through your support. And I know Charles and I and Sam before him were just so excited to be a part of this partnership and have this impact. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say it enough. And I say it on behalf of the Ontario Sims and the other young people that we're working with through the summer. Jane shared with you about the impact up in Rantoul. They wanted more money to hire more kids and we didn't have it. So thank you, Mental Health Board from the Community Coalition and Don Murray Boys and Girls Club. You go ahead, Charles.
No, I'll just piggyback and thank you so much. I mean, the impact is great, and we're looking forward to continuing to make impact and having more of these success stories.
So I don't know if there's any questions or anything for us, but thanks, Lynn and the board.
Any questions or comments for Tracy and Charles?
I'd like to say just thank you guys for all of your hard work and organizing those programs and activities.
Yeah.
As
Thank
well.
Okay, so I think we're done.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Charles.
Well, we have another presentation.
Yes.
It's presentation season, which I'm very excited about. So
UC Community Data Clinic. Have the next.
So Jorge, would you like to share the screen, or do you want me to show what the board packet?
Yes, thank you, Lynn, and hello, everyone. I can share my screen.
Okay. Well, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Can all people watch my screen now?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Jorge Rojas. I'm a doctoral student in the Institute of Communications Research in the University of Illinois. And I'm working with the Community Data Clinic, led by Professor Anita Chan, when we collaborate with communities and organizations to think about related issues of the use of data for their needs and just to claim for the services or just for the issues that they come up when they use of data, exercises like archiving for memories, websites, and using statistics for some kind of risk. Okay, so today I'm going to present to you an exercise that that general aspects of the 211 of the Improving 211 project. Also, we will explain how Champaign County Resources, the main product of this project, is an innovative approach to access information to human crisis and community building around the 211 service. And finally, I will share with you the next directions that we expect to follow with your support and feedback to better serve our community. Just briefly, our team in Community Data Clinic is an interdisciplinary group covering areas of user-oriented design, critical information studies and communication, and project management. Our core community leaders are Kim Bowdery, Leon Bryson, and Lynn Canfield from CCMHB and CCDDB. Jasmine Hernandez and Danielle Chinowet from Cunningham Township Supervisor's Office, Beth Baker and Mary Noel from United Way of Champaign. It's important to say about core community because of this scale of this project has reached, and this is like the main partners that have participated for more than 2 years in this project. Here on the left is the screenshot of the previous 211 website, which was the baseline for our project. In this website, clients or participants reported to our core community the mismatches between the hours of attention or issues with the eligibility criteria on the listings posted in the website. They also reported that the search features are focused like on the directory structure instead of the user needs and current standards of search in the industry. And also they found hidden options preventing sharing resources and limited support of languages because currently only supports English. Also, human services agencies found challenging processes for updating their data, limited connections for clients because of their passive role in the interaction, And of course, one perception of inattention from the 211 provider. Thanks to our conversations with Path Crisis, which is the current 211 provider for Champaign County, we learned that this kind of website is a standard product with low flexibility for local needs implementation, but also privileges because their style is their commitment with the community, privilege phone interaction to preserve human connection, but that makes invisible user publics who prefer text to avoid identification, or some generations that feel more comfortable communicating with other means. There are some community resources excluded by policies, and the service currently is underfunded, and the number of calls have decreased in the last 2 years. So we started this project with the community, with this core community, with the aims to increase the access to human services providers in the Champaign County, to create a participatory design community, to inform the new design or some advisory for improving the current website. We wanted to promote to increase the accuracy of the information posted in the 211 directory by encouraging the participation not only of the service providers, but the visitors of the website themselves. And finally, we wanted to promote the expansion of the community of human services provision in the county by including more resources, experiences, and their knowledge. Objectives of this project were designed to focus on both the improvement of the technical part of the information service, but more importantly, to influence the relationships between the community of service providers, the directory, and one desired perspective of human crisis. Based on those objectives, and we prototyped a new website that name is Champaign County Resources, CCR, which is a community oriented and social media style hub of resources. CCR combines access to information for human services and community building, processing, like thinking on the management of information, updating, keeping attractive features for all the user publics. For example, we hear from these needs from the service providers and implemented some ability for them to update their own information in real time so that wrong information isn't up in the website, simplified the search box and export the list of recommended services for clients to facilitate later reference, either printed or emailed. Provided a calendar platform for posting events to provide other outlet to advertise service providers events to their communities. In terms of visitors on users, we created multi-language support based on the diversity of the Champaign County. We included French and Spanish as main languages, but we can include more. We added maps and navigation for finding services and search by location to facilitate people found resources close to their locations. Also used a responsive design with a minimum request of technological capabilities in order to facilitate for the people to navigate in the website without huge requirements. And added the error reporting feature, which is the ability to know or just to mark what information is correct or outdated and make it visible to other visitors. Finally, in this project, we create community processes that I'm going to explain you later, but they are focused on how to strengthen the community of service providers of social services in our county. This is a preview of the prototype in both the desktop and mobile versions. The current address is Champaign County Resources.communitydataclinic.com. It is a test website not intended for sharing with clients or participants. And also this website is intended to be a local complement to the 211 current directory, but not to replace it. Interesting results that we are having with the processes with the community are that we have a foreign member service provider community around this information service who are registered in the website, attended the info sessions, updated their listings, and provided us feedback about the features they find. If you haven't registered to your account yet, just please register today. We have more than 200 preloaded service providers in our website. Registration is free and we will activate your account today. These exercises allow us to provide some advice on information technology decision-making to path crisis 211 in order to improve some features of their website and suggesting the implementation of other channels like text messages for communities to access to the 211 services. And finally, we built up a workflow with Champaign County organizations to include new resources, community directories, and make them visible in our website. That was the reason because somewhere just asked it to Tracy about information sharing and this kind of things, which is very interesting, his experience. So this is one example of that. Services for LGBTQ communities in the previous 211 directory were absent from the top 25 categories of services. Together with Unity in Pride, this summer we prototyped and co-designed what could be the iconography and visibility of resources dedicated for LGBTQ organizations and communities. Together, we uploaded 25 new resources that can be available for the community. And in this exercise, we not only think about how could be graphical representation of the community in the directory, but we also found that they need an inclusive infrastructure across all the directory. It means that nowadays, all service providers registered in Champaign County Resources can include in their listings how they serve to this community in terms of registration processes, inclusive service provision, and physical infrastructure. As you can see in this screen, we include like the special features for them. Also, LGBTQ community understood our error reporting feature as one way to complain or just to report to the community when exclusive practices happen to their members. But so now let's move on what we are doing today and what are the next directions for this project. Crisis response infrastructures like this one that we are creating now assemble a number of components like having a directory, having data analysis capability, maintenance processes to keep update the information, regulations complaint, interfaces, training to the populations they serve, and also some forms of sustainability for the services. Currently, Champaign County Resources is transitioning between being the prototype to an infrastructure by defining what kind of organization should be better for this directory in terms of moderation of content and administration, clarifying relationship with other directories in the county and how help them to make more visible, or how we can collaborate together, and activating more resources in the website. We still have not decided the connections between Champaign County Resources and Path Crisis 211. After few conversations with the new director, the communication is on one standby state. Chris Workman manifested his concern that CCR was causing confusion, asked to shut down the website and withdraw any support for the project. In some meetings we also have with United Way of Champaign, we concluded, and there was some of ideas we see that the direction of Pat, that Pat Crisis needs some more time to adjust in his new position, and that they need to understand better the project, because we feel like there are misunderstandings in some of their ideas. Finally, we have started a prototype for the new CESA for first responders attention. This is a new partnership between Urbana Police, UIUC Police, Rosencrantz Center, and the core community of this project. We are designing features to support the new a new director, new features in accordance to this law. So just summarizing, if we create like infrastructure link for this checklist for this project, we can think that we should establish some advisory board to provide direction to the service, set up moderation and data curation in the community, some maintenance activities, to clarify and define the relationships with other directories if the community wanted to do that. Continuously involving services providers and groups in the use of the directory, and define the revenue stream and cost structure for one service like this for the community. So in tonight's presentation, our call to action to CCMHB is, as we shared in the package previously, is like we think on, and we invite you just to co-lead a task force to design the transition of the prototype to an actual service. We can ask to you today in this meeting, which kind of activities, issues, or dimensions do you think that we should cover to reach a successful transition to a prototype to an infrastructure of this kind of service in our county based on your experience? We are asking you to fund and support an outreach campaign to increase the number of active service providers in the website and co-host a public launch of the website. Now we can ask to you to suggest us in what kind of community events do you think we could take part to promote CCR and find more agencies to activate their account in the website. We also wanted you to help us to submit some kind of communication to Path Crisis, emphasizing the relevance of this project for Champaign County to continue this collaboration and define that relationship between both directories. This is important because we don't want to create a conflictive relationship with them, and with some way we cannot advance without having this kind of definition. We also wanted to propose or ask to you if we want to co-design connections between the Disability Resource Expo and CCR, if you find it relevant, necessary, and that could be in the ecology of all these directories in the county. And finally, we're asking you just your support for this first responders prototyping phase to comply the new CSR mandate. We think that this law is the best opportunity to provide some sustainability of CCR, because this act is requesting to maintain and design a directory of resources, of community resources for the community. So all these action items are open points to discussion. Your support and feedback is fundamental for us to continue in this process. And we want you to know that we are doing this project based on community needs and community expectations. So any change or any movement that we are going to have, it should be based on your approval and the ideas that you contribute in this. So thank you so much for this time to present, and I'm open to any question, any suggestion, and continue these conversations about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments.
It was the same community needs assessment that we reviewed, I think, last meeting used for this program, or did you have your own, or how did you perform your needs assessment, and what population are you targeting mainly?
Our first users and the population we started to work with was more oriented to case managers, who are the ones who provide information and referral to some communities. And we can think about how to design a more specific evaluation of that, because because 211 is a very general service who attends a really wide road of communities. So if you have any suggestion on what kind of population of community we can start some kind of assessment, it would be great. We are very open to have this kind of conversation.
Thank you. Go ahead, John.
So, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little confused. Why do we have to use Path Crisis for the website? Why can't we use or just make our own website for our community and our own phone number that might be easier and more flexible for us to use?
Yeah, that's another path to think about this kind of service. What we try to do when we create this kind of exercise is to promote one service that is already running, that has been providing services for Champaign County for more than 10 years. So for us, it's not our first strategy just suggest to clean up and start again. But I think taking this kind of direction to decide to move to another provider or create like an in-house service for this community is another path that we could contribute at some point to create some evaluation for that. That's another way. What we did with this project was to create some ways of advice and provide some new strategies that, based on the issues we found in this service, were not explored before. So what we can do after this, after that exploration, according to the needs of the community, is up of the community. We create some infrastructure for that, demonstrating that it's possible. But definitely, I think the community also need to think about services like what they are going to do if they want to replace the call center, what other channels of communication they want to use, and perhaps some of these other dimensions that I just explained it to you briefly when I explained how to move from a prototype to an actual infrastructure. I must say that I don't have, and that was a question that emerged to me in my first presentation today, is that we actually do not have a clear idea of or clear evaluation of how path crisis is performing. And perhaps some exercise like this could also suggest how the service could be is supporting the needs of the county or not.
So, I mean, for me, like when I looked last time at this website, it wasn't very helpful because I would click on like educational services or consumer services, and you would go, and then there would be a tab and it would list like a different, area or whatever. You click on it and there'd be nothing there. And so it's like, why is there even a tab that goes to nowhere? And there's a lot of those. So then you get frustrated endlessly searching. So I guess the easiest option is just to call, which then takes man hours and that costs money. And then that becomes an issue in being able to fund a service like this. An easier thing is to have a really effective, easy to utilize website that people can go to instead of having man hours to man phones to answer these kind of questions. Obviously, there's people that can't access the internet or aren't technologically savvy enough to use the website. So there will be a need for the phone, but you want to minimize that usage, because then that costs probably more money than having a website that is just very user-friendly. And, honestly, the old website looks like it was 10 years old. It looks like it's from 2010, because the way I would do it, you don't go based on what service you need. First, you probably go based on where you live, what city you are in, and then you go to the service you need and see if there's something there. But I mean, that's just the way I would do it. If this is just for Champaign County, I would probably do it by city and then see what services are available based on that. Or you could base it on like the radius within a zip code. Like, honestly, you go to like petfinder.com and you can look at the rabbits within 25 miles in the area. I feel like it should be something similar to that. If restaurants can have pull down menus for each tab on their website, and other businesses, I mean, this seems like this should be a very simple, user-friendly thing, and it just seems it's very complicated and it's very difficult to make, make a change for some reason, and I'm not sure why. It's hard to make this an effective, user-friendly website, but I don't know. Those are just my thoughts.
And you're looking for help for finding active service providers. So eventually maybe those links will lead somewhere. Is that kind of the idea for the website?
Yes. What kind of, how do we think about that? For example, these links can provide you direction for the service provider that you want to have some service. And also service providers or case managers, for example, when they're having contact with clients, can create a list of the services that after their conversation are the better or just they can refer to them and create like a PDF and send them to them, or print it and provided the paper. Yeah, this website, what it's doing is create connections between the populations who need some human service and the service providers in their area.
So you're gonna
If
need you're
I'm
gonna need
answering
one
the
of those
question.
you're gonna need one of those chat bots that say, "Can I assist you today?" Sometimes they're annoying and sometimes they're helpful.
Yeah, so yeah, yeah, that's one way that we are also evaluating this kind of technologies, because because sometimes okay, just a brief comment about that. Sometimes the issue of the chatbots is that the interaction is that short, that there's no memory of what you tell to the chatbot. So anytime you ask to some question to the chatbot, you need to start the conversation again. So you will spend more time trying to the chatbot tell you the solution you need than just call someone to give you some more specific directions. But this kind of exploration of those technologies is something that definitely we can do, or we want to explore if that is what the community wants to do. That's the reason because we start this kind of project, how to find these new ways to communicate and provide information to the communities who may need them.
Chatbot therapists.
Excuse me. I appreciate what you're presenting, and there's a lot of work involved in this. And I want to suggest that this is not a good time or place to start discussing the details of it. We have a huge agenda to get through tonight, and it's already getting quite late. So I'm going to suggest that we move on the agenda. Of course, it's up to Joe to decide what we do, but that's my suggestion.
I was going to do that because I think so. We can send some of our recommendations to Lynn, and if you have other questions for Jorge, Lynn will get them to you.
I really appreciate your questions, your suggestions. This is a great community to work with. I always feel very motivated because when I always just meet with you, there are new ideas. There are new ways to think about this. So thank you so much. I think I left the meeting because you have more things to talk about, and have a really good night all. Thank you for opening.
Thank you very much, Jorge. So we're moving on to allocation of priorities.
So am I muted?
No, you're not.
Okay, good. The setup is kind of weird right now. So when I'm sharing the screen, I can't tell. So this and the next agenda item don't require any action. This is a first draft of a priorities memo for the next funding year, but we will have to take some action before the end of the year. So if you want to discuss it now, that's great. I know there's not a lot of time. We could bring it back in November, but probably bringing it back in December for approval. So that gives us some time to get input from stakeholders and also from y'all, if you're comfortable doing it that way. I do want to say that I spent a lot less time on the operating environment this time because we just did that community needs assessment report for you, which is kind of like 90 pages of operating environment. So I also did a slight reorganizing of the priorities, splitting 2 of the large domains down into 2 each. You'll see, and that might not be a really great idea. That might not have worked. So I'm interested in input on that. I can share it again if you want.
So any questions or comments about this right now? Go ahead, Susan.
I think that it showed a responsiveness to changes in the community and needs. And I haven't really had time to compare and contrast with other priorities that we've had, but I found it really appealing to see a focus on crisis stabilization and on victim services, while you've maintained, of course, the innovative practices in the system of care. So I thought that it shows that the board and the management team are really thinking proactively about changes in our community because of COVID and the increase in violence. That's all I wanted to say.
Yes,
Thank you.
Anyone else with comments?
Just a general, Lynn, so I just had a couple more specific questions, so I'm interest of time. So I'm guessing it's okay if I just send you an email with some of these and then maybe you can address them in the future.
That'd be great. I think that's probably the best way for me to incorporate board members' feedback is because then I can really understand. I can ask you for clarification if I don't know. And if you're interested in previous year priorities, I can share those with folks too. So.
Sounds good. Any other questions, comments, suggestions, send them to email. So move to the next agenda item.
So this one, kind of the same thing. You did a drastic revision of the funding requirements and guidelines back in November of 2018. And that revision, mainly what we were trying to do was get some kind of independent CPA report on everything, even if it was a really small program, and also to make that affordable. So then in May of this year, we made some changes that were really to, the audits it's very hard for folks to get the audits in on time. And Matt Hausman, I've got the wrong thing open, sorry. Matt Hausman gave us a little insight into why that might be. And then it turned out that not only do we have a finite number of independent CPA firms, but they're having trouble now getting staff because of COVID. So it turns out that was the right thing to do, to extend those deadlines a little bit and then make a provision for automatic extension with suspension of payment. But after we did those changes, I did show it to an attorney. So all of the revisions that you see in this document come from either board member questions or the attorney's input. And there are even some comments from the attorney in there that I'm not really sure I can improve on what's there, but I left the comments in there. So it is a combination. Everything that's highlighted is either an addition of language to clarify, or it's some strike throughs. It's sort of all toward clarification. And then the attorney's questions that I didn't act on are still sitting in there. So this is another document that some of you have already seen it and worked on it with me. This is another thing that I intend to bring it back to you for final, for like hopefully approval of a revised version. But unlike the priorities, you don't have to do this. We can go through another allocation cycle without touching the funding guidelines. It just seemed like tightening them up might make sense. And if you have other changes that you'd like to see, this is a great time of year to review policies and make improvements where we see them. So I can bring this back in November or December.
Questions for them about this? So financial management coaching pilot, it's something we talked about in a bit.
So speaking of our requirements, we have found, it really makes sense, especially small organizations and new organizations often don't get enough funding to really set up a robust, business office or to hire the financial staff. And they're also facing a shortage of that type of staff. So there are a lot of agencies who've hung in there and worked with our team on making improvements as they can. And we have talked about a pilot project for a long time, but not been easily able to nail down consultants who could do it. We've talked to 6 people. Finally, we have 2 who are ready to go. We don't know if this will work, but I think we don't really want to spend a huge amount of money on it or offer it to everyone. Just start with a couple of agencies each for these 2 people and kind of test the idea and then report back to you in 6 months on whether it actually seems to have helped new small agencies. We're going to focus there. I think these, financial accountability issues can affect every agency. They're all up against, all kinds of limitations that, to some extent way out of their control, but to focus on small and new for now, if you're interested.
I've always been interested in this because I once was involved with an agency that went belly up because we did not get a work in time. Counseling was not. So I think for small agencies, it would be very beneficial. Very beneficial. Matt?
Yeah, so first of all, definitely love the idea, especially running a small nonprofit. This kind of resource is awesome. I did want one clarification though, Lynn. I was a little confused about the costs. Because each independent consultant contract will have a total contract maximum of $4,000 or less, and then you said negotiate up to 2. So would that be $4,000 per consultant, or a total of $4,000 across?
No, per consultant. And I thought if we can start it in November, it has, a little tiny impact on this fiscal year and an little bit bigger impact next fiscal year. So total of the project would be $8,000, but start in November as soon as we could get it rolling. So yeah, that's a good question. And we really don't know, because we've never done this before, we really didn't know how much money to ask to reserve for this. So we thought, let's start small. It's underneath, like, I could just engage these consultants, as I do other consultants, because these are very small contract amounts. But I thought it would be really good to get your input and your explicit approval on this before we did anything else.
I think
Julian has a question for me.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, but I'm a little bit unclear about the process. Do you approach an organization, or do they approach you? Are there criteria? What happens if you have more requests than you want or can handle?
I think
how do you
that's
prioritize them? I just don't understand exactly how it will work and what it will mean in terms of, I could envision 2 possibilities. One is nobody's interested in it, or everybody's interested in it and they all want help. So I'm not sure how we have a plan for how to deal with that.
Yes, it's been for about a year. I've been developing different matrix spreadsheets with all kinds of criteria. The amount of revenue is one. So I really do want to focus on the smaller organizations. Larger organizations which have the means to hire an accountant should do it. I think, we've given all kinds of encouragement toward that.
What's a smaller organization? I mean, give me a
well, I
example.
could show you the spreadsheets.
You don't have to name an organization, just like, what are the features of the organization? Small and large is too diffuse for me to understand.
Well, so in the funding guidelines, everybody with revenue of greater than 300,000 is expected to do an audit, because that's the state's threshold for an audit. So I kind of start there, but there are agencies right around 300,000 that are struggling to employ staff too. But so starting with less than 300,000 for one, also with the number of years funded, because we have provided a lot of support as we can, in order not to have a conflict of interest. It's somewhat limited, but a lot of guidance to agencies that have been around for a while. So another one is, how long have they been funded? Problems with compliance with our deadlines is another criteria. And then the big one, Julian, I think you'll love it. willingness to work with us on this, because it does require extra time. And if agencies are struggling with these things, they also probably don't have a lot of extra time. So all four of those criteria. And I didn't want to start with a very large set because we don't know what it could cost to provide a really meaningful support for 6 months. I wanted to start small. So it's kind of tricky. And so first thing is we have to ask people, are you willing to do this? We think you're a good candidate.
I mean, I think the willingness of a client organization to say, yes, we do need help. I know with my former agency, yes, we did need help, and we did not get things in on time, and we lost funding, not just from the 508 Block Board, but from everybody else. So I think it's important.
And I think there's an issue that's like, I have to be careful how I say this because I don't want to sound super judgmental, but there is also an issue where, you can be told you have to hire a bookkeeper and you have a bookkeeper, but you're also asking them to do other stuff because you're short-staffed elsewhere. So there's this kind of mission creep that happens with indirect staff. So, I think like, that's something hopefully we would discover in this work, like that, we really need to define the role and let the person do the job that they've been brought in for. So, and we have, oh, I'm sorry.
Any other questions for Lynn about this? I think it's novel, but I think it's also very useful for some of the smaller agencies. So we're moving on to request for reconsideration of contract cancellation.
Joe, would you mind to approve this or to take a vote?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, I forgot about that. We have to do the voting. So to move the motion.
One more question. Is this a one-time thing that we're approving?
Yeah.
Okay, Susan had a question. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
I was going to suggest that I would be happy to make the motion,
Yes.
assuming that we would review it again at the end of the fiscal year.
Oh, definitely.
This is an experiment, just like the evaluation program initially was an experiment.
Yes.
So I would like to move to approve the CCMHB, CCDB Executive Director to negotiate up to 2 contracts with independent consultants for bookkeeping financial supports as presented in this memorandum.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
Susan Fowler,
Yes.
Ben Hausman,
Yes.
Daphne Maurer,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Julian Rappaport,
Yes.
Jane Sprandl,
Yes.
John Paul Yoki,
Yes.
Joe Omosage.
Yes. Thank you. Then move to the next item. Request for reconsideration of contract cancellation. It is 51.3. Products.
Hey, Joe, I'm having trouble hearing you. If you
Okay, I'll get
closer to the microphone, I think.
Yeah, I'll get close to the microphone here. Can you hear me now?
Thank you. Yeah, it's much
I don't
better.
want to be yelling at you.
Thank you.
So next item is request for reconsideration of contract cancellation in the zero performance healthcare. Do we need a background on this, or do we want to talk about it?
Is it okay with y'all if I think there are people from the agency here to speak to this issue, or do you want to start with a board discussion?
Good, Julie.
Do they have something to say other than what's written here?
Probably not. Probably. do not know exactly what they're going to say, but there might be some new information, possibly. Susan?
I guess I would like some clarification. Because we know that the agency, Promise Healthcare, had difficulty meeting its audit responsibilities. We also know that we were going through COVID for 20 months or more. That may have had an impact on their ability to find personnel. And then we also know that they've had a changeover in management. And so I guess my first question is, if we were to cancel the contract, is the cancellation contingent on their coming through with an appropriate audit in the immediate future? And if that is so, would there be the opportunity to reconsider retroactively the funds that were held or canceled? So that's one question. They indicate they'll lose $111,000. That seems like a lot of money, which raises a concern about, will clients be able to access psychiatric care, given that Promise is one of the few places where it's available with Medicare funding. So I think that the issue isn't quite as crystal clear as I'd like it to be. It's obvious that the mental health board staff have worked a lot with Promise. It's also obvious that Promise has changed its management.
Yes.
And they haven't turned in their audit yet. So if they turn in their audit, is there the option, and it passes? That's a huge issue. I'm assuming it will pass, but if it passes, because they've gotten their act together and are organized, is it necessary for them to lose funding? I mean, at the moment, it probably is necessary to suspend funding, but is it possible, if they pass the audit, to retroactively resume funding? Question for Lynn. She's saying no, I think.
So basically, for 3 months, payments were just automatically suspended after the audit didn't come by the deadline. And this is in the new funding guidelines. So everybody gets to be the test agency from time to time. This time it's Promise's turn. So they didn't get it by the basic deadline, which is 6 months after the close of a fiscal year. So we went into automatically suspending the payments, but not canceling the contract. So we're holding about $111,000 for them. So whenever they submit an approved audit, if it's fine, then they get that payment back. But what's different is that starting October 1st, we automatically cancel the contract. So we're not doing any more extensions, because we've gotten into years and years of extensions before, which puts us in a tricky position with, we're holding money, and that's messing up our own fiscal year, our own budgets. And it also is a lot of extra paperwork for us to keep considering and authorizing additional extensions by contract amendments. So that's no longer an option. So on October 1st, the contract is canceled. So right now, unless you agree with their appeal, they don't get paid from, we're not even going to hold a payment from, thank you, Leon, from, I need to finish though, I need to explain what happened here. From October 1st through whenever that approved audit comes, their board will be looking at their audit, which was delivered to us the first week of October, maybe the 5th. Their board will be looking at it to approve it on, I think, the 25th of October. So it's possible that they could get an approved audit to us before the beginning of November and only be out 1 month of payments, which is about $38,175. So if you approve the appeal, we would simply suspend that payment with the other 3 payments. So by approving the appeal, you would be extending the deadline for an additional period of time.
I have another question, if I may ask it, Wow. Where was their board all this time? Surely was their board not aware that they had not completed a satisfactory audit?
I could interject. This is Jennifer Henry. I'm the new executive director with Promise Healthcare. So I've been here about 90 days and the board was made aware of this. I have Rebecca Mankin here too, who's been our interim CFO. They were made aware, I believe, late last fall, October, that we were in arrears with audit. So it was only at that time. And that's when they brought in the consultants to help get us out of that. So they had audits to complete and things to clean up. And that's what led to the changeover too with senior leadership. So the board took swift action as soon as they learned.
Well, it depends. Swift is an adjective. Okay, I'm not going to say anything yet. I want to let other people speak or ask questions.
Well, I had a question for Jennifer Henry. If the board knows that the audit was like the extension expired at the end of last month, why don't they have a meeting sooner to approve the audit so that there isn't a delay in getting this approved?
We weren't sure. We have a transition time in September too with board members, but we weren't sure when the audit was going to be completed by our audit firm because there were delays with that. So as soon as we received it, then we let the board know, and then the audit firm has to present to the board. So it was presented to the executive board last night and to the finance committee, approved there, and then it goes to the full board next Tuesday.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. That was helpful.
Any other questions?
So I had reached out to Lynn after I read this, and I feel like sometimes I'm a toughie because on one hand, I'm kind of like, there's deadlines for reasons, and I understand that this was somewhat not in their control, but you are responsible to make sure everything gets done to get the money. So on one hand, I want to say deadline wasn't met, so we shouldn't grant the extension. The problem with that is they do offer some amazing needs that we have in our community. So I understand the hardship there. I always talk about the slippery slope also of if we let it get out that we gave Promise Healthcare a little, extra time, then is other agencies going to also try that. So
It's a secret meeting.
What did you say?
I'm joking with you. Isn't this a secret meeting?
What, you and I? Or
Right here.
yeah, so but I guess I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get it now. But I just worry about, are we going to start a precedence of if we do it once, is everyone going to be like, well, we senior leader.
I'm with you, Jim.
We didn't have enough employees. So I'm very, very much on the fence. So I will listen to board members, and I believe in supporting the majority, but I have my concerns.
If I could just add, again, we were granted the extension through September 30th, and that's exactly when we also received the audit. The audit came through on September 30th. So we hit that date. It was just a matter of getting the audit firm to present to our board, which is in our bylaws, that we have to do it that way. So we were constricted that way. But we just got there.
So I'm hearing, I have to say that I'm with Jane on this. We don't always agree, but sometimes we do. and the thing is, I understand what the kinds of constraints and happenstances and circumstances that occur. These occur in all organizations all the time. So they're not particularly unique to this situation, even though it feels unique. The thing that I'm more concerned about is the first thing that I joked about which Jane suggested, this sets a kind of public example. And there's a lot of agencies that are also struggling to get things done, doing things. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. And the other thing that bothers me about it is that what we're being asked to do is have this organization's failure to meet their obligations pushed on to the staff at the mental health board. It's created a lot of work for our staff and a lot of attention for our staff to think about this, worry about it, deal with it. And they have bylaws they want to follow, and so do we. We have rules that we need to follow. I don't think we need to be completely rigid, but I can't really feel very positive about a deadline that's been extended and extended quite often. And it would seem like the organization was simply not attending to it. And I'm not sympathetic, nor do I even believe that nobody on the board understood that they didn't have their audits done. It just doesn't make any sense to me, or else they're not paying attention as board members. So for all those reasons, I just think it's a big mistake for us to, and that has nothing to do with my feeling about the quality of human services that are provided there. I want this organization to succeed. And I honestly think to help them succeed, they need to learn to be more disciplined about the business side of things that they might not want to pay attention to. So that's my feeling. One board member, though, and I will go along with a majority opinion. And I'd particularly like to hear the staff comment on it as well.
So I mean, one thing I would say is I thought, like Matt and Lynn were saying, that, you know, it's been difficult getting audits completed just because of the lack of people able to do them in the area. Is that correct, Matt?
Yeah, that was something we dealt with in nonprofit before, so that there's only a limited number that can do it.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, you know, there is new leadership, and that doesn't mean that it absolves them of all accountability of what the organization's past has been in completing these audits on a timely manner. However, I do feel like they have made a good faith effort in trying to complete these in a timely manner. I think obviously there's probably some constraints this year. I would say, though, that this would be the last time that I would be lenient for this specific organization, and that if in the future there is issues, then it's going to be there's going to be rigidity or an inflexibility in approving further extensions. So that would be my stance, but I'm happy to hear what other people have to say.
Just to follow up kind of on what John said, that especially about the new leadership at the organization, and looking at Jennifer and Rebecca's letter, and where they talk about the new leadership that have committed, but also to address Julian's concerns about, we need to make, I would almost like to see some kind of a plan or an outline of a how, what specific concrete steps have been taken, are being taken, and so on, to, as Julian said, to help them succeed in these situations.
Yeah. Lynn, could you clarify again exactly what we're? I guess I got a little confused. I understand that we're holding payments, and if we were to terminate their contract moving forward, those payments wouldn't even be held, but they could still potentially qualify for the ones that were previously held.
Right. They performed the services from July 1st through September 30th. And so those payments have been prepared. They're just being held until an approved audit is submitted. So the difference is, upon cancellation of the contract, there's no obligation.
Okay.
So, sorry.
I mean, I guess my take is I definitely understand, you know, when it comes to grants from anywhere, there's a need for compliance, and it's a part of our job to make sure that compliance is upheld. From my mindset, I think that our number one job and our number one priority is funding services. And I mean, I definitely feel a lot of pain with the idea of cutting off such an important organization that provides something that I don't think many other, if any other places provide. This has been an ongoing issue, and so I know that this obviously isn't the first time this is come on our radar. My sort of take is that because they took the drastic step of, you know, they have new leadership, I think that to me, just where I stand, feel like that qualifies for, as somebody else put it, sort of a last chance situation with reconsidering this.
Thank you. So Daphne, did you want to add something?
Yeah. What is the ethical duty of the board to make sure that the services provided by this agency are replaced by someone else? You know, the loss to the community. I mean, we're just going to take this away and then not give funding to someone else who can do this. I mean, it sounds like they provide maybe kind of a pretty specific set of services, and you know, it looks like the fear has been put into them, and I understand needing quote unquote examples, and I deal with that pretty much on a daily basis of kids serving, you know, 15, 20 years as the examples. And so, you know, maybe if we sent out to the agencies just, you know, the scenario and no names or anything like that, and, you know, say, this is what could happen if you're not adhering to the guidelines, you know, maybe that would be something that could help. And I hear both sides of the argument. So
I don't think we need to catastrophize that if we stick to the rules that we have set, and this is, and what they would lose, assuming they get the audit approved and it's correct, it's okay, by the end of the month, they would lose 1 month's funding from us. Is that right?
Yeah.
They would not have lost the large amount that they cite. They would only lose this from the time the contract was suspended for not meeting their obligation to have an audit, to at whatever moment that audit is submitted and we accepted by us, and then the contract could begin again. So I just want to put into context what we're not talking about them losing as much money as they say in their letter.
thank you for that clarification. And I in no way meant to catastrophize, just to try to put into perspective, you know, making sure that we're holding up our expectation, holding ourselves to our own expectations as well for our community.
Yeah, thank you. One more.
Can you clarify that, Lynn? If they say we terminate the contract, I thought they can't apply again until the next time we have funding for organizations again. Basically, they would be out everything past the end of September.
Oh my goodness, I may have misread the rules. I thought that it was when an acceptable approved audit is submitted, that they would become eligible again. And because you've already allocated this money for these services, that we would just start a partial year contract when they came back. But I may have misread the rules, and that's another reason that it's so interesting. These three items are right next to each other, because we may be looking at a need for additional language in the rules. So if I got that wrong, I'm sorry.
I think
There's usually a difference between terminate and suspend. And that's my major concern. If they pass the audit, which their financial committee has approved, so they're now waiting for the formal approval of the board, I would hate to terminate a contract for a service that is badly needed in the county and not provided by many others. And that is, unfortunately, the psychiatric services. So the termination versus suspension is really important to me. I don't know the fiscal realities of going without 1 month's funding, 38,000. I can't speak to that. But I would oppose termination of the contract. I think suspension until they pass is the most logical thing. And then I think there's the issue of, if they pass with flying colors, is it possible to retroactively fund the month that they are missing, which is the month of October, with the understanding that that will never happen again. So, I'm looking at, how do we make the services stay in place and yet not have the board at risk or the staff overworked because of the funding issue, audit issue? Thank you.
Thank you. Because I mean, the staff is working and has worked with funds, and what we're trying to do within the larger community is to make sure that we still
I'm
provide
having trouble
services.
understanding you, Joe. Could you? come-
Okay, I think my computer is doing crazy stuff. So I think we will just suspension versus termination are two separate things. And so we will, I think 1 month is easier to stomach than to be terminated, and that's you taking everything away. So do we vote on this now? Or do we go ahead?
Yeah, somebody would have to make a motion and then another second it. I did look in the funding guidelines. I do think on page 47 and 48 that I didn't misunderstand, that it's the eligibility returns when an approved audit is accepted. So that could be middle of the cycle. So what you just said, if you want to approve their appeal and give them officially a 1 month extension or whatever amount of time you want to give them, I think that is that's here within the powers of the board. It's not within my power. So that's also something for us to think about for the future.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't catch anything that Joe said. I mean,
He didn't make a motion yet. He's just asking. about-
Yeah,
No,
I
I
did not.
couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear it.
Can you hear me now?
I can now, yeah.
Okay, I think there's something wrong with my mic on my camera. So, okay, I'm asking for a motion now. Is anybody willing to make a motion in second?
So just a quick question. So if we vote to expand or extend the suspension for another month, would we then meet on November 16th to approve if they do sign their audit or approve their audit and send it to us and you guys evaluate it? Or how long would that take?
If you did that and they got that approved audit to us before November 1st, then we could, well, we already have the audit, so it's the approval that's missing. And I think there are no deficiencies that we need to see corrected. So I expect that unless there was a surprise, we would accept the audit. And Chris Wilson can answer if I'm misstating here because he has the document. So you wouldn't need to meet again. There would be no termination, but just an additional month of suspension.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
If
you.
I'm not mistaken, tell me if I'm mistaken. If we were not going to approve their request for a further extension, we wouldn't have to do anything. Is that correct? Because the procedure is already operating.
It's already in place.
We would just keep going and then when we got it, it would start again and so on.
If you did not approve their appeal, and they got us this audit before November 1st, we could initiate a new contract starting November 1st. So they wouldn't be paid for the month of October, but also there's a disruption of services that we would have to make some adjustments in the service targets.
Okay.
And I don't, I mean, we haven't asked the agency about that part, but a few of you have alluded to that. So
I would like to make a motion.
Go ahead, Susan.
I would like to move that under the special circumstances of COVID and change in administration, that we extend the time period by 1 month as requested by Promise Healthcare to avoid any disruption in services or changes in service targets, pending approval of the audit.
Okay. Need a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay. Stephanie, let's take a roll call.
Wait, before we actually vote, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. So this, if we voted no on this, it would be they would lose the 1 month. That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we, okay, but voting yes is to extend the, all right.
Okay, let's take a roll call. The vote.
Susan Fowler,
Yes.
Matt Hausman,
No.
Daphne Maurer,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Julian Rappaport,
No.
Jane Sprandel,
No.
John Paul Yoakim,
Yes.
Joe Omo Osagie,
Yes.
I have 4 yeses and 3 nos. So the motion will pass.
There should be 5 yeses and 3 nos.
Wait.
Susan, Joe, John, Kyle, and
Oh, you're right. 5 yeses and, I'm sorry.
3 nos.
Yeah, so it does not pass.
So it does pass.
Oh, it does pass, yes. Right.
So Kyle, Daphne, John, Joe, and Susan were yes. Julian, Jane, and Matthew were no.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Let's move on. So it's 7:32. Do we table this for? What do you say? We can keep going.
you should do this. This is part of public participation.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Are there other things that have
Agency
to be done?
resolution.
There's an approval of minutes later, and then the other are just discussion items.
Okay, I'm
But
probably
if
not gonna stay if there's not gonna be a necessary vote on something that has to be voted on, because I have other things I have to do.
Okay.
So is that correct, that there's nothing that I have to vote on that is important?
approval of minutes.
Just
Oh.
approval of minutes.
You can
Yeah.
approve them without me.
And then all the discussion items, again, I would welcome your input after the meeting if you're not here to discuss and you want to talk about any of it. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I have to go. Bye.
Okay. Bye, Julian. Okay. So public participation.
So Pat Eggy has provided us with some materials which are in the board packet. I don't know if, I mean, they're pretty thorough, so there might not be any other comments to make on this, but wanted to show you a different way of doing public participation and agency input. That's kind of nice.
Thanks, Matt. So old business. Updates on Scylla.
So that is a memo I was writing you one morning, October 12th, and it was going in a different direction. It was going in the direction of a closing on Friday, but then we got the buyer's inspection report on the 12th when I was working on this memo. And there were so many repairs indicated that it potentially changes the deal, potentially. But we don't have enough time to figure out if it's going to change the deal. So we just let that purchase agreement go, and would like to spend some time now getting our own inspections and bids. And we need to get competitive bids to determine how much work is really left to do on the house to make it safe. Because the issues that we've discovered with this house are sneaky, insidious water. So it's like water in the attic and water underneath the house doing naughty things. And now we need to make the house safe for people. I really hope that we will be able to complete all these repairs, list the house again, and maybe even sell it to the same buyer. Apparently they're still interested. But if not, and if the realtor creates a different listing price, I may come back to you at a future meeting with an additional question. But it's possible that we're still on track. So when I was writing the memo, I might have gotten ahead of myself with all these ideas about what you could do with the money. But I was excited about all of these ideas. And I think that probably between the three funds, you can do all of this. And my favorite on here is there are a couple items for people who fall into local service gaps. And it would feel really sweet to fill some service gaps for people with co-occurring disorders and people whose complex service needs are so great that they can't get services here. So those are my favorite things, but we don't even have to talk about it tonight. It's presented to you for your own ideas and for further discussion. We'll bring it back when we do have the money.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments for Lynn? Okay. So I think moving on to utilization report for funded programs. 64 to 76.
You'll see this one again in the annual report. So, I mean, it's really it's like a very overview type summary. So if you see any errors in it, please let us know. But I mean, we've worked really hard on this. Mr. Bryson spent a lot of time gathering accurate data and putting it together for us. So I appreciate the effort. But do let us know if there seems to be something incorrect or a typo, because it's going into the annual report later. Anyway.
Okay. So schedules and allocation process timelines, 77 to 81.
Asking permission now to make for November 17th, which is your next regular meeting, to maybe do a very brief regular meeting and then a study session with the DD board. Like, I think these won't be super long.
Okay.
So, okay. And then also for December 15th, if you wouldn't mind, let's make that a meeting and not a tentative meeting. Then we can bring back some of these documents for you to consider.
Okay. Questions or comments? Okay, so DD board information, anything we need to know?
They had roughly the same agenda this morning, but we didn't get to all of these items. They really, they're gonna probably have a meeting in November to talk about the priorities document and the funding guidelines document. So hopefully we'll get some input from that, maybe share that input to you all later too.
Okay.
Since, you know, we like to keep the requirements very similar between the two boards.
Okay. So approval of minutes from the last board meeting, 82 to 85.
I'll move to approve the board minutes from September 22nd, 2021.
I'll second it.
Okay. We need a roll call here too.
Yep. Susan Fowler,
Abstain because I was absent.
Matt Halpin,
Yes.
Daphne Maurer,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Dean Sprandel,
Yes.
John Paul Yoakim,
Yes.
Joan Mosagian.
Yes. From staff reports. 86 to 96. Do you have any questions about the staff reports?
These are great staff reports, but I have to say, like, even though most of us took a little bit of time off during the period that these staff reports cover, we were really busy.
Mhm.
And I think the staff reports reflect that. I loved Stephanie's because it starts with that comment. It's like, yes, we tried to take a little time off.
I encourage time off. It's good for the brain. So board to board reports, any board to board? Board announcements? So someone to move to adjourn?
I will move to adjourn the meeting.
All in favor? So we don't have to take a roll call for this now, do we? So thank you for a long meeting, but we got it done. And so we'll see you next week. We'll get it. I think Chandra is presented, isn't she?
Next week is 2 presentations. It's not Chandra.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But really, we're really excited.
Good.
It's just
Good.
Presentations, no more, none of this. Thank you
Extra.
for hanging in there tonight.
Okay, thank you very much for everybody hanging in there. Have a good rest of the evening. We'll see you in 166 hours or something like that. Take care.